Hope everybody had a good Monday. I just wanted to come and talk to you guys just for a little bit about just a couple of case updates on the D4VD David Burke case with the unaliving of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. So I told you I have been watching and looking at some of the coverage. I haven't been able to pay as much attention to detail as I want to, because of some projects and things I have going on. And I do have a busy week. So I thought I was gonna be able to watch the SZA episode with you guys tomorrow, where Carlissa and Rilla meet for the first time, but we may have to put it off until later on in the week. Hey, Purple Purple Boo. Um, so we may have to put that off until later on in the week because I have a very long day tomorrow. So um, I'll let you guys know, but more than likely that we'll watch that maybe on a weekend. Um, the but I wanted to give an update on the David Burke case, which is a D4VD case, which is the alleged unaliving and additional charges that go along with that case, all of the other additional charges. And so he was indicted today. The judge determined in the preliminary hearing that he would go forward and be charged and have to stand trial for the unaliving, for the sexual misconduct with a minor, and all of those charges, other charges that are associated with this case. So I need to listen to exactly what the judge said. I saw the press conference um, that after the hearing, and but there were a couple of things I wanted to discuss. So one thing is this. So remember, you guys, we had a conversation, and in the beginning, and I wanted to reserve about the parents until after we had some more details, and we weren't sure whether we were going to get any details in the preliminary hearing or not. But clearly, there was some information disclosed in the preliminary hearing. Now, remember, one of our major questions at the time of the arrest, right, was how did this child make it to all the way to London? Like, I don't. I'm gonna be slightly confused about how the child was traveling across the country, yes. But I do know that there are ways to do that. I also know it's ways to internationally traffic people, because that's why you have a such thing called as actual trafficking, right? So I know that it can happen. That's not what the question. My question was really what happened, right? Wanting to know what is it that happened. My question wasn't like how, like in shock, right? But what was the process and how did she make it all the way to London? And so apparently during trial, it was revealed that her parents, or at least one of her parents, was aware of her trip to London because a consent was signed for her to go. So I don't know if it was the mom, if it was the dad, if it was the mom and the dad. But clearly, the parents were aware of this travel in some kind of capacity. Now, the dad has come forward and said he had absolutely no clue about this relationship between Celeste and David. That's what the dad has come forward and said, which leads me to believe that either, number one, we have to assume the dad is either lying, or that means that the mom knew and gave this consent. Um, it was also discovered during trial that Celeste was allowed to go and stay at her aunt's house because her aunt was in closer proximity to David. So that was also revealed during trial. It was revealed that David had attended church services with the family. So here again, we have another family that is okay with sending their minor off with an adult to engage in inappropriate activities. Now, just because the quote unquote consent was given by the parent, we know that the law doesn't allow parents to give consent for a minor. And so this is how David is charged with those charges, right? But then that is going to end up bringing another question to the forefront of this. What responsibility and accountability will Celeste's parents have, the ones who did participate in what and had whatever knowledge about the situation? Where are they going to be held accountable and responsible, right? Now, sometimes what the law and prosecutors look at is that the very nature of why these charges are brought about is punishment enough to the family. Sometimes that's how they process it, and that's how they look at it. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't agree with that approach. If her parents allowed this to happen, they were making reports of her being missing. I don't, like I said, at this point, based off of the information that I'm aware of, which is why I'm going to try to listen to more details to find out. But at least one of the parents was aware. I don't know if it was both of them, but at least one of them. Now, like I said, I know the father came and gave a public statement declaring he knew nothing about this. But there was a in court, it was revealed that somebody knew. One of those parents knew, at least, if not both of them. And so I'm sorry, but I don't think it's sufficient that her unaliving is punishment enough for this family. I'm sorry. I know other people might think differently, but I don't. I think something needs to be done about that. And I'm not saying, listen, I'm not saying that David should not be accountable for what he did. What I'm saying is that those parents need to be accountable too. And whether I don't think that David being accountable is contingent upon the parents being accountable. His accountability is to a whole nother level. Okay. This ended in an unaliving. And so then that brings me to the next thing that I wanted to discuss on this live tonight, in relation to the case. So, Law and Crime TV, I posted, I think I posted the press conference for Law and Crime TV, but Law and Crime TV did a little bit of analysis on this case. And so after it was determined that it would go to trial. And so they gave some insight, some good insight. And I think we might watch that, or at least a portion of it, later on this week when I get some time. But I want to get some more information too when I come to you guys. But I want to hear exactly what the judge had to say in his decision. And I mean, in her decision. And I want to get a couple of more things together before we go live and really talk about it. But what one of the things that Law and Crime TV, they think that they have some insight as to what potentially might be the defense in this situation. And they were saying that they believe that potentially that the defense is going to go with some type of self-defense theory. And so there were text messages that were released by the prosecution, Blair Bird. Beth Silverman. So you have Beth Silverman, who is the prosecutor in this case, and then you have Blair Burke, who is the lead attorney in this case. And so there were text messages that were placed into evidence by Beth Silverman that discussed like the 3 days. It was text messages with the 3 days leading up to Celeste unaliving, right? Hey, JoJo. And so those text messages were basically, Beth Silverman, the prosecutor, was using it as the timeline to establish like the chain of events, how things happened, right? How things unfolded. When Blair Burke had an opportunity to cross-examine the witness that went over these text messages, she introduced some additional text messages to the conversation. And those additional text messages were messages that Celeste had sent to David, where she was making several what they call threats. And so the threats consisted of that she was going to ruin his career, that she was going to tell her father a whole bunch of lies about him, that she was going to contact some of his business associates, and then the last one, I can't remember what the last thing was. She was gonna contact some of his business associates. Oh, and then she was gonna contact his mom and reveal some things to his mom about him that his mom did not know. Now, I don't know if those things she was gonna reveal were true things or things she was gonna make up, but these are the things that Blair Burt, the defense attorney, the lead defense attorney for David, contributed to this case, to the preliminary hearing, as part of evidence, right? And so what they were suggesting on Law and Crime TV is that they think that this is going to be an attempt to mount some type of self-defense, a theory of self-defense. Now, I probably need somebody more with more legal training to like really explain that, because I'm trying to figure out how do they take those messages and mount a self-defense claim when they have all of the things that David did in order to prepare for this unaliving of this girl. Like, he purchased all of these different things in order to do this crime. So to me, that would really like throw out self-defense. I but I, I need some more like clarification, because to me, that wouldn't suggest self-defense when you've done all this preparation to commit the crime. But on Law and Crime TV, and I'll post it on my community wall after I get off online. I was just listening to it a few minutes ago. But on court TV, I mean, I keep saying court TV. On Law and Crime TV, they are suggesting that they think that the defense is going to go with some type of self-defense theory in order as a defense of their client. And like I said, it's just difficult for me to try to see that as a defense because of all of the preparation that he did to commit this crime, all of the things that he had to purchase. Like, I don't know. I guess I don't know if that would speak to them trying to get the death penalty off of the table, if they could somehow kind of way through that preliminary hearing process. I mean, not preliminary hearing process, but pretrial hearings. If they can try to find some way to establish as far as the degree of the crime, getting that death penalty off the table, if it would make a difference in all of that those kind of things. But as far as like presenting in trial, trying to come up with a self-defense theory based on these text messages being the threats, like, I clearly, yes, I guess, yeah, the text messages are threatening in nature. But when you think about all of the preparation that he did in order to commit the crime, like, I would think that that would take away from a self-defense type of thing. I would think that self-defense would be like in the moment, like not not something that you premeditate, that you prepare to do. That's just my idea of what I see self-defense is, but maybe there is some other avenue in order to structure that argument. And I don't know it because I'm not supposed to know it. But I would like to see if there is somebody who can really explain it more. Law and Crime TV, they threw it out there, but they did not really give, like, I guess, the structure. To me, they didn't provide the structure around the argument. Like, how do you get to that? How do you get to self-defense knowing that all of this planning and preparation was done to commit the crime, when most of us, I'm probably not the only one, most of us probably look at self-defense as something that happens in the heat of the moment. Like, that's not something that you are sitting at home and planning and saying, okay, well, this person is threatening me on the phone, so now I'm gonna lure them to my house and I'm gonna do them in because they are threatening me. Like, that's to me, that's not self-defense. But maybe there is some kind of way, and that's what I would like to like have more understanding about. They didn't really, they provided the foundation, I guess, for why they think that that's the route that the defense would be going in. But they did not really give us like for those of us who are probably thinking just like me that self-defense has to do with something in the moment, a threat on your life at the moment. Um, I mean, I guess I could. I don't know. I think that's gonna be kind of difficult. That's gonna be kind of difficult for them to come around to that, in my opinion, or to sell that to a jury. I don't. Maybe it's one of the only ways that they can tackle it or come at it. I don't know, because maybe they have no other option. I don't know. But I just think that it sounds crazy to suggest that with all of the preparation that was done, with the evidence that the prosecution has already laid down for items that were purchased, you had a burn cage purchase, you had saws purchased, you had a pool purchase, you had a fire hazardous mat or something like that purchased. Like, all of these items that you had purchased, that he purchased in the name of other individuals and sent to his house in preparation for this crime. To me, that's too much premeditation. I can't understand how you get to self-defense. I don't I don't know. So that's something I would be interested if somebody has more details or information into explaining that. I thought that was interesting when I heard that on Law and Crime, and it's why I wanted to come hit you guys up tonight and put that out there. See, have you heard that? See if you have any opinions about that. But yeah, once again, we have another set of parents who sent their child, or either, like I said, this time we don't know if both parents were involved, but we at least know one parent was involved with sending their child with this grown man and was okay with their child traveling out of the country with this adult man. And this is why I always say you have to separate the victim from their parents. You cannot look at the victim based on the behavior of the parents. Because now we have a girl who is dead. Now we have a 14-year-old that was about to turn 15-year-old girl who is dead as a result of her being in this very adult situation that was inappropriate and illegal. And the reason why she was at risk was because of it was illegal. And she was able to pose those threats to him because what he was doing was illegal. What was allowed to be done was illegal and put him in jeopardy. And so that therefore made her life vulnerable and at risk. And her parents, or at least one of her parents, helped one of the parent group help put her in the situation. And so I think that parent needs to be accountable. The fact that she's not here anymore, and people, I know a lot of times like the prosecutor's offices think, oh, well, that's enough. We're not going to inflict any more additional harm on the parents. That's bullshit. I'm sorry. I can't go with that. I cannot go with that. Like, there has to be some more level of accountability than that. That the parent did this and put the child in that situation. And so whether or not it results in this type of situation where there's a loss of life or the psychological damage that impacts the quality of life of the victim. Like, they need to be held accountable too. And I don't, if just because the prosecutor's office, if they decide not to hold them accountable, that don't mean I think that this boy need to get off of his crime because they're not holding him accountable. Um, but I definitely think that something need to happen with these parents. This is fucking ridiculous. This don't make any damn sense. I will never understand no behavior like that. I will never understand no behavior of a parent that is sending their child with an adult male, whether celebrity or not, and they are okay with that, and they don't do anything about it. That they are willing to send their child off somewhere with the prospects of them making money, or because they're getting money, or whatever the case may be. That's just a whole bunch of bullshit. Now, I also want to say this. Hey, Malibu. I want to say this, too. When I'm coming to talk about true crime cases, I'm talking about a true crime case. I'm coming on here and I state whatever the hell the news reports say in the damn media. Now, it's not nothing I made up. So suggesting that anybody should use a better common sense than what is put out in the media about a story, that's what the media put out. Nobody came out here and created a story about something happenings, and then I didn't call TMZ and make no damn story. The story was given to TMZ by whoever these entities are, right? I'm been looking and I'm interested in following these ARDC complaints as it relates to Bo Brindley, because I think if people use common sense about that, they should be able to use common sense to see certain shit about that. He was stealing money from those clients. So he's not above stealing money from his current clients, or in the process of trying to steal money from his current clients. I don't know all of what's going on, because I think all of the parties involved in this situation can be deemed untrustworthy. So you don't know all the way down to the defendant in that case. So at this point, nobody knows what's going on. We just have to wait and see what will happen, how this will all play out. And all I'm doing is reporting what is being reported. I'm not making up any reporting. I'm not trying to make nobody believe any particular reporting. I am reporting what is being reported. And I think that if people use common sense, what was put into those motions was not common sense. You could tell that that was a whole bunch of bullshit. Right? So I just want to say that. I come on here, I talk to my few people about true crime cases. That RSK case is a true crime case. It is turning out to be a big, huge fucking mess. And this is not the only case where this has happened. It has happened in lots of cases because of extra people getting involved in shit, thinking that they have more seniority than others, talking in spaces where and with people probably that they shouldn't be, and creating a whole big ass mess of the fucking case. And this shit has just been a whole big ass fucking mess. The whole thing. The whole thing. So nobody knows what to believe. It don't have nothing to do with common sense. People then jumped up and fucked up the case so crazy, and so many people have had a hand that it's nothing is common. None of this shit is common. This is not the common way shit goes. There's nothing common about any of this bullshit that is happening right now. Not in my opinion. This is not the standard way that cases go. Like, even when you saw Keefe D's lawyer talking to Choate on his channel giving an interview, you didn't see him in having any willingness to let people interfere in an investigation, or they giving him tips that he hasn't fleshed or vetted out, or like you haven't seen none of that shit. Yeah, it's crazy, Miller. It really is. I just, like I said, I a lot of times I just am like in awe. Like, oh my God, like how did this shit go this damn far? Who allows people, and how many attorneys do you go through that allows this type of shit to go on? With all of this interference and all of these like people who I don't know, this shit crazy as hell to me. And when you talk about common sense, these people crazy as hell. Like getting themselves involved in this kind of shit at this level and not knowing if they are subjecting themselves to some type of legal ramifications as a result of what is going on. I mean, that 31-page shit I read, the MO of that attorney is letting you know if some shit go down, he's throwing it back on the client and the people that the client exposed him to, which meaning his witnesses and all of the people around them. He's going to try to get out of the shit at all costs. That is the MO. That is the personality traits. That's the characteristics of this individual. It is laid and mapped out in all of the things that have been filed on him over the years. So I'm just reading what's in the case. Whatever link I found to a law firm, that came from LinkedIn. Everybody using AI out here. Everyone out here is using AI technology. So I maybe, I don't know. But that is linked to the LinkedIn for that particular attorney. I don't know whether she's telling the truth. I don't know whether he's telling the truth. I know I don't believe shit else that he done said out his mouth since he took over this situation. So I got to give the other one a fair shot. That's common sense. Common sense is as if you see all the reporting, you see all of the violations, you see all of the complaints about this guy. Well, maybe let me give this other person a chance to hear what they got to say. So to me, that's common. But what's common to one person is not common to everyone. So that's why attempting to belittle a person's intelligence in order to try to solidify your opinion doesn't make that much sense, because somebody can look at your outlook and think it's just as stupid. That it makes absolutely no sense. There is no way that I would think to even back no shit like the shit that I heard and read for myself in those motions. The whole shit sound preposterous to me. But there are some people who thought that it was some validity in that argument, and they went with it. So, hey, I don't know. Like I say, I report on a whole lot of goddamn stories. I talk about a whole lot of stories, and I only come out here to talk about the people that I like, and I like talking to, and I like talking with. I'm not interested in none of the other shenanigans and all the other bullshit that goes along with all of the bullshit that people have gotten themselves entangled in. Because they want to be important to the story. They want an important role in the story. So I'm only reporting what the TMZ article said. I don't know what else anybody else is doing with it, how they feel about it, what they personally know about it, what they know what's going on. The TMZ article says that there is some infighting. The TMZ article states that Brindley does not agree that this attorney submitted anything. This attorney is stating they don't agree that Brindley submitted anything. TMZ claims to have had gotten a statement from Keith about this event. That's what TMZ said. Nobody else said it. TMZ said it. The ARDC is the one who has the complaint on Bo Brindley. They were the ones who received 31 pages of a complaint with 9 different clients stating that this man is a fraud, that he takes his clients' money, that he presents lies to the court, all of these different things. So this is not nothing that's being said about it from an individual. These are court documents, and these are statements that are being made to public news sources. If anybody want to be mad, if they want to have an attitude, if they want to make any suggestions, make it to them. Call the ARDC. Call TMZ. Tell them what the truth is. And on that, y'all, I got to go to bed because I got to get up early. Like I said, I got a long day. Miller, we going to talk about Koberger. Because you said, wait a minute, let me see. Hold on. And for it to go on so long, weird as how the attorney should have linked up with Lee a long time ago. I don't even know if this man should have linked up with no damn body. Like I said, he's a crook. And I think he's gonna backstab and double cross anybody out here that he's worked with. That's my opinion. I think he's gonna backstab and double cross anybody out here that he's worked with. And just like he's done his other clients in the past, it's in paperwork. He is going to blame whatever stories, whatever information on the people who brought it to him in order for him to get out of the bullshit that he is willing to go along with. That's what he does. It's documented that that's what he does. So I don't know, Miller, but that's just my opinion. If I was anybody, I wouldn't work with him. I'm talking about him. My reporting is about him because I consider him an officer of the court, and I expect him to be honest in his representation of people and not trying to get one over on his clients. And clearly he's been doing that. And even if you look at his responses to the answers to the ARDC complaint, he's not denying he took these people's money. He's trying to come up with excuses for why he took these people's money and didn't do no work. But he doesn't deny that he took these people's money. And that's why I read both the complaint and his response. So I mean, if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at the 9 individuals that submitted this complaint towards him who provided this information for this to be examined. If you want to have an issue, have it with TMZ. They the ones who wrote the article. If you have an issue with the website, LinkedIn has that website for that attorney. If you have an issue with the AI, everybody is using AI. I guess she put, it did look kind of King of Diamond-ish to me. I said, I said that in the beginning, joking. The website looked like King of Diamonds. But, everybody's doing that. Everybody is using that technology to do that. But that is definitely linked to her LinkedIn. And maybe if somebody doing this on her behalf and giving this statement fraudulently on her behalf, I guess it could be possible. We got to wait to see if that comes out too. I don't know. But I definitely don't believe nothing that Brindley say, because he done got caught in too much shit ethically with his representation of people. It's not all of those coincidences, in my opinion. Not in my book. That's common sense to me. It's not that many coincidences. And I feel like anybody, and this is just cautionary, anybody, and people might don't care, but anybody that he's working with out here or worked with or talked to or whatever, they need to beware, because he's going to save his own damn self. He's going to throw it back to the people. That's what he has always done. That's how he got out of that first situation when he was charged, when he was indicted before. He threw it back on on his ex-client who reported him for the shit and the people who testified on behalf of that client. So I don't know, but you can't try to tell people shit because they take it a whole nother level. That's them. They don't got nothing to do with me. However, Kohlberger Miller, he is now saying he's not guilty. So we are going to get into that too. So for anybody who is not familiar with the Brian Kohlberger situation, Brian Kohlberger, unalived, or he pled guilty to unaliving 4 students in Moscow, Idaho, who were stabbed to death, essentially, all in one night. And so he pled guilty of the crime, and he was sentenced. But now he's coming and filed a motion saying that he's not guilty, that he's innocent. And so now I guess we're about to see that back in the media, and that's about to become a thing too again. And so I'm gonna get some more information gathered about that, because that's something that we did get to discuss on this channel too. And the case we did look at. And so I want to get more details on that so that we can figure out, like, what is this about? What is he talking about? So y'all have a good night. It was good talking to you guys. Miller, Purple JoJo, thank y'all for coming in, and I will talk to you guys soon.